Oh, hello there. My name is Law Tekking, and I'm here today to pass on a very important public service announcement to all of my viewers. It involves a problem in our community that's been going on for far too long, and the carnage needs to stop. So I'm here today on behalf of the Society for Kaido Awareness and Safety to explain to you how you should act when in the presence of a Yonko. This past year alone, 26 people tried to attack Kaito, and 26 people were pounded into the ground like a tent pole. These numbers continue to double every single year, and yet we are doing nothing about it. What you people need to understand is that this is not a pirate. This is not a person. This is an act of nature. It's the same as running up to a hurricane and like, bring it on! It's simply, completely illogical and insane. And so, with just your one-time donation of 100,000 berries, we can raise Kaito awareness and make sure people respect him for the force of nature and the dragon that he is. So we don't have any other stories like Luffy's. This is a 19-year-old boy. He had a future, ladies and gentlemen. He was going to be king of the pirates someday. A lofty dream, but a dream nonetheless. But now all that's thrown away because he dared to attack a natural disaster. If you just donate those 100,000 berries, we can make sure that Luffy's story is never forgotten, and more importantly, it's never repeated. Please donate today. Because Kaito is a dragon. So, how much did you guys like Luffy? You know, as the main character of One Piece. I mean, like, he wasn't my favorite Straw Hat or anything, but he was a pretty good main character. I liked the little rubbery guy. He had that ambition, he had that motivation, you know, but, I guess my stronger question here for all of you is, how would you feel if Luffy just kinda stopped being the main character and we had to go along with the another Straw Hat leading up this pirate train? I mean, hey, it's not a bad thing. I mean, we have other options. I mean, Zoro, for one, if we can find him, he would be a good main character. Or how about Brook? Come on, Brook would be a good main character for this series. He has enough personality. I mean, you'd have to rename the series from One Piece to, like, Finding Laboon or something, but I still think it could work. Nami, of course. Nami would be a very attractive main character for the series, you know? You could just retitle it to just not even, it wouldn't even be a word. The title of the series would literally just be the berry sign over and over and over again. But, now if you did like Luffy, if he was like your absolute favorite character in the entire series, well, I have some bad news for you. Well, who am I saying? You've already been hospitalized. You've already read the chapter, and you're currently in the ICU after what happened. Okay, so, hey, let's start off the chapter by just reading the title. Emperor Kaito versus Pirate Luffy. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, in all seriousness, though, this was the chapter title we were waiting for a while, right? Right, like, we were thinking this was gonna show up near the end of the arc, but, you know, way back in, even, like, Punk Hazard, and, you know, later on when we start to find out more and more about Kaito and just how dangerous he is and how indestructible he is, and a few chapters ago when we found out he's a dragon, we were waiting for this. We were waiting for the chapter where it was like, Pirate Monkey D. Luffy versus the Commander of the Beast Pirates, Yonko Kaito. We were waiting for it. It got here a little bit earlier than a lot of people expected, but we got it. But hey, before we get into all that, cover page! Happy cover page. It's actually a really cool one this week. We get to see Luffy, Sabo, and Ace as children doing some good old-fashioned bug wrestling. So this is a thing that apparently a lot of like Japanese school children will do, is they'll go out and they'll find various beetles and they'll make them fight each other, okay? And obviously obviously in this situation, finding like the bigger, more muscular beetle is better because you're guaranteed to win. So you have a Hercules beetle and an Atlas beetle and something called a Miyama beetle. I've never heard of that. I know Yama means mountain, but I've never heard of a Miyama beetle before. Luffy clearly has the Hercules beetle and his is winning. So you have Ace off to the side, like kind of kicking Luffy in the face and just like, and Sabo's grabbing his cheek like, oh, come on, this is bullcrap. I think it was back during, I think it was during the Jaya arc when they were searching for the Southbird. They were running through the forest at night and Luffy stumbled upon like a giant like Hercules beetle or an Atlas beetle or something. He's like, oh man, this is a really prized beetle right here. That's the reason why, because a lot of Japanese school children, you know, wrestle beetles and that's just a thing. In fact, the most famous example of this is this little hobby for children actually evolved into, I think, the single most profitable franchise in the entire world, because the creator of Pokemon, Satoshi Tajiri, he did this when he was a kid. He would go around and collect bugs, and that's where he got the general idea for Pokemon. So there you go. This little kid going around Japan catching bugs and making them fight and all that stuff, doing what kids do. When he got older, he's like, you know, let's make a game out of that. And boom, here we are. I'm pretty sure Pokemon is the most profitable franchise in the world, but I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty damn sure. But anyway, yeah, so that's a cool cover page nonetheless. We get to see Luffy and Ace again as children, remembering happy times, although Luffy might be making a visit to Valhalla soon, and we might be seeing him reunite with Ace. But okay, so the chapter continues on where we left off. In case you need a refresher there, Luffy straight up, BAM! Elephant gunned Kaido right on the head. He somehow managed to get above Kaido. Some people have said, you know, oh, maybe, you know, he was with Law, so maybe Law opened up his room and then switched places, so Luffy got, you know, way higher up than Kaido, and so he can launch the elephant gun straight down. I thought maybe he grabbed onto Kaido's, like, dragon body and, like, you know, Gum rocketed right over his head, and then he launched the attack. Doesn't really matter. There's a few ways he could have gotten up there, but the point is he got higher up than Kaido, and then he charged up, you know, gear third, armament hockey, elephant gun, with gravity assistance, mind you, straight down on Kaido's head. Alright, and the expression that he gave last chapter, and this chapter as well, really seemed nonchalant. It really just seemed like he was just, I'm gonna burn that castle down, boop, and it just like got booped on the head, like, no, not a big deal. Now, the attack did manage to crash Kaido back onto, you know, Bakura Town and the, you know, the district there. I was a little confused by that, honestly, because Kaido, from last chapter, it looked like he was right next to the castle, right? Like, the castle is here on top of the mountain, but Bakura Town and Okobore Town, they're down here in, like, the valley, and Kaido was, like, right next to it when he launched his Boro Breath, and then that's when Luffy struck him down. What actually happened, because Kaido is just so massive when he's in dragon form, Bakura Town is here, you know, the castle is here, Kaido doesn't even need to get that close to it. He could literally just kind of stretch up his body, his neck, and just crane it a little bit forward, and he was still right above the skies of Bakura District when he just launched that Boro Breath and just obliterated the castle, which is also kind of a good thing in a sense, because he didn't get close enough to the castle for him to actually see, like, oh, there's Nami, there's Brook, there's all these people around the castle. He didn't get close enough for that. He just kind of like craned his neck out and then launched the attack. That's when Luffy jumped in, elephant gunned him, and he slams right down into Bakura District, okay? Now, as you can imagine, many people of Kaido's crew are flipping out of this happening, because not only they just had to deal with Kaido being a drunk dragon, like, how are you guys doing today? They're like, oh god, we have to get out of here. Now all of a sudden, he just gets slammed into the ground, and from their perspective, it's like, did God just get punched? We need to get out of here. And so a few members of the crew actually recognize Luffy. They see him, and they're like, I don't know how they could see that far away, but they see Luffy up there, and they're like, that's the guy that took out Hold'em. Holy crap, what is he doing? Is he so much of a freaking moron that he doesn't know what he's doing? So Kaido gets dropped, Luffy lands, we get a scene of Shutenmaru off to the side, and he's just kind of like, this intrigues me. Okay, am I the only one that's really liking Shutenmaru? I gotta be honest with you, first impressions of him when he just arrived on that cow, big, huge, morbidly obese dude, just like, you know, I was not really that impressed. But then he had the moment where he sliced Jack up, and then he had the moment where he's literally just staring down Kaido in his dragon form, not really giving a crap. And now we have this scene where Shutenmaru literally just witnesses Luffy all of a sudden just elephant gun, bam, just slam Kaido to the ground. And Shutenmaru, this is a prime chance to escape. This is an ideal moment. Just like, okay, this idiot decided to attack Kaido. That's his problem. We're out of here, okay? But Shutenmaru, he's standing still. He's standing his ground. He's just kind of like, interesting. Tell you what, you guys go back to the mountains, you get back and reinforce the place. I'm gonna stick around here for a little while. I want to see where this goes. So yeah, Shutenmaru, I'm just gonna assume, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but I'm just gonna assume he ate some kind of devil fruit that allowed him to become the most fearless being in the entire world. Because he witnesses a calamity. Jack rocking toward him on a giant land alligator shark thing. Doesn't care. He sees Kaido rocking toward him in his dragon form, this huge thing that literally just covers the entire sky in darkness. Shutenmaru don't really care. And then he sees this and he's like, let me just see this. Like, so maybe that's what he was saying. You know how a few chapters ago Shutenmaru was like, you know, there's no real samurai left in Wano anymore. Maybe that's what his high standard is. It's like, only a real samurai would be completely unfazed when a giant dragon descends from the heavens, blots out the sun, and blows up an entire castle in one mighty breath. I am a true samurai! My will is steadfast! So, okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm looking to see more of Shutenmaru. Alright, so Luffy lands on the ground. He's back in Bakura Town, or at least on the outskirts of it. He's around that area. And he immediately notices that some of the members of the Kaido crew are, you know, they're shouting about Lady Speed. Speed, of course, being the one that was escorting Tama back to Amagasa village. So Luffy hears this and he turns around and he's like, oh, that's Umamami, horsewoman. That was the reference. So Luffy rushes over and he's like, oh my god, what happened? So Speed is on the ground, completely battered and bloodied, and they're like, oh, what happened to you? And Speed is like, I'm sorry, Kaido got us on the way back to the village. I couldn't protect the master. And, so from what we see, there's a flashback of Kaido, and this actually kind of gives us a basic idea, at least for the location of Onigashima, because if Kaido was at Onigashima and he passed over the way to, like, Amagasa, so that must mean, like, you know, that shore where Luffy washed up at, Onigashima might be really close to being around there because Kaido would have left that, passed over the beach, passed over Amagasa, would have run into Speed and Otama on their way back to Amagasa, taking care of them, and then continued on to Okabore Town. So, yeah, keep that in mind. They're just the general layout. Oda, can you really just give us a map already so we could just stop guessing where all these locations are? Please just give us a map. So, yeah, Speed ran afoul of Kaido on the way back, and he just kind of stops really quick and is like, I've been hearing some strange reports. Speed, what are you doing? We don't get to see the full interchange, but Kaido in his, you know, drunken rage manages to beat the crap out of Speed, and so she's all bloodied and broken, and we get a panel where we see Otama lying on the ground with her apple broken next to her. And it's definitely Otama because we can see her kimono. It's just her arm is just lying there. Now, we don't get to see her in full view. We don't get to see, like, if she's bleeding or how bad her injuries are. We just see her hand seemingly lifeless in the wasteland with the apple she was clutching. He's like, I will cherish this apple so much, Luffy. And then it's just all broken and smashed on the side of the wasteland, okay? So, yeah, that was something I wasn't expecting, okay? When Luffy did hold the whole thing with Okabore Town, bringing the treasure ship back, I was expecting this was gonna lead into some bad shit. I was expecting, like, yeah, Jack's gonna show up, an entire team of Kaido's crew is gonna just show up and, like, take all the food back and just wipe out the entire town and just burn it. I was expecting that. I wasn't expecting this. I was thinking what was gonna happen with Otama's little story arc is that Speed was gonna take her back to Amagasa village, she was gonna get reunited with the Tengu and everything, and Speed was gonna be her loyal subject, and we're just gonna kind of put her off on the back burner for a little while, you know, she was like the introduction part of this arc, we're gonna just put her off to the side, Luffy's gonna meet up with his crew, they're gonna figure out the plan, and then we'll maybe go back to her later, okay? She's definitely going to be relevant later on, but I was expecting her to at least make it back to the village first, but no, we find out here that, like, all hope is lost, like, all the good things you did at Okabore Town just made it worse. Even Otama couldn't make it back home. So, yeah, I'm just gonna assume she's not dead. I hope that Oda's not gonna take it to that. Oh my god. I mean, Can you imagine if he did that? I mean, that would be a really good way of just, you know, pounding in how this arc is different and how Kaido is the most, you know, threatening villain they've ever faced off against. And just the act of, like, I should have kept doing Halloween for a little bit longer if that was the case. But, yeah, that would be a thing where it's like, you know, Luffy arrives on the island and he sees a bunch of people in peril like he always does, and he tries his best to save them, and he usually succeeds. But how about if this would be the one story arc where it's like, nope, that you can't just do the same thing you've done before, Luffy. You can't just act the same way you did and everything's going to turn out fine. This is a completely different story. So, like I said, I don't think she's dead, but if she would be dead, then that would be a pretty good way of showing us that Wano is, this is serious business, okay? Like, no hope. There's gonna give you, I don't know how you're gonna beat Kaido, but you're not gonna be able to do it through the regular methods, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so, Law catches up with Luffy at this point, right? Catches up with him, and he's like, okay, I was expecting this to be the point where Law was gonna snap, and he's like, we need to, okay, you punched him, great, let's get out of here. We have to figure out if your friends are okay. We don't even know what the hell happened up there, if they're okay, if they got out, if they're hurt. We need to find them. Luffy's reasoning with this is, okay, I'm not saying it's bad logic, because Kaido, I mean, Luffy has never fought Kaido before, all right? Luffy understands Kaido is very strong, and from what Big Mom said about him, like, Mama, you will never be able to defeat that thing. Like, Luffy has an idea, like, Kaido is somebody you don't mess with. He's pretty strong, but I think from Luffy's perspective, he's really underestimating Kaido here. Seriously underestimating him. He might be putting Kaido in the same base, like, well, I at least managed to, like, punch Big Mom that one time. You know, like, he might be, like, you know, like, varying there. Kaido, in terms of physical strength, is leagues above Big Mom. I'm just gonna go with that. I mean, Big Mom was terrifying, and she was wicked strong, and she had the power of the Soul Stone. But if we're just going by straight-up physical beefiness, Kaido is way higher than Big Mom, okay? So maybe Luffy's, like, maybe he might even be gauging it on Whitebeard also. Like, I don't know, but he might just be doing this the wrong way. He's, like, severely underestimating Kaido. But Luffy's logic here is, like, what if I just take him out now? All that stuff you talked about, having that big elaborate plan, attacking Onigashima in 2 weeks, the Fire Festival, raising up the rebellion and everything, all of that stuff, we could just skip all of that, and I could just take him out here now. Wouldn't that be the most efficient way of going about this? And Luffy's not wrong. I mean, if he did manage to take out Kaido right here, then I was like, all right, well, I mean, we still got the Shogun to worry about, but Kaido is, let's be honest here, he's the real threat. Unless the Shogun turns out to have, like, I have the mythical Yamato no Orochi zone, and he turns into a giant 8-headed serpent the size of a freaking Mount Everest, and he starts attacking. That's still something that could happen, but I think Kaido is much more of the main threat here. So he's like, yeah, if I just beat him up now, then the plan will be finished. We don't even have to wait 2 weeks. We don't even have to go to the Fire Festival. I can just finish this off right now. But Law continues. He has this moment, Law, where he's just like, but we don't even know if they're safe. And he's just kind of like, man, well, I can't do anything about it, can I? You know, like, Law's like, whatever. So, yeah, this goes about the way you would expect. Luffy then proceeds to immediately shout over to Kaido, who got floored. He's like, Kaido, I'm over here, you son of a bitch, you know, get over here right now. And so Kaido gets back up, and he diverts all of his attention to Luffy. By the way, absolutely no damage from what happened. Like, you have to understand also, Kaido is drunk as a skunk right now. And so, because skunks can get pretty drunk. I don't know about you. I live out in the country. I was taking out the trash the other night, and there was a bush, and they were getting freaking plastered all over the place. And Jack Daniel bottles, it was freaking just depravity. But anyway, yeah, Kaido's pretty drunk right now, so I can imagine him going up there to, like, you know, he was, like, gonna nuke the castle, and he's like, borrow breath, boof. And then Luffy appears with the elephant gun and, like, And he just kind of went with it. Like, he didn't even have any resistance to it. He's just like, huh? And then just gets, like, knocked to the ground. But Kaido gets right back up. He's not bleeding. He doesn't have any serious injuries whatsoever. He's just glaring right over at Luffy. And Kaido kind of, like, looks at him, and he gets a good look at Luffy's face, and he's like, your name is... And then Luffy just cuts him off and does this, like, I am Luffy! Kaizoku Oni! Oriwa no! And then Kaido doesn't even... He's just like, okay, Boro breath, and just nukes again the entire town. Like, he doesn't care if his men are there. He doesn't care how much damage, you know, how much property damage he does. He just, like, he's like, you know what? I don't even care. I know who you are. You're dying right here. And he just, like, uses his attack. Now, Luffy manages to dodge it. Some of the other members of the crew are not too lucky. I especially love this guy right here, like the jaw-dropping, just, I don't want to die today. So they're like, we're getting the hell out of here, man. So he wipes out a good chunk of the town. It goes just right down the middle of it. Just gets incinerated. You know, not even destroyed, just incinerated. And so Luffy at this point, by the way, he takes speed, and he takes her away from, so she doesn't get caught in the blast either. And so he picks up speed and throws her off to some people, and they pick her. It's like, oh, Lady Speed, you're okay. And so this is where we get in. This chapter is not too long, okay? But this is where we really get into the focus here, okay? Luffy sees Kaido before him, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna break out some of my largest, high-octane, mass damage techniques, okay? Kaido's a pretty big guy, he's a dragon, so I gotta go with Gear 3rd. Okay, so he goes Gear 3rd, armament, and he busts out Elephant Gatling, that same move that just tore the Noah to shreds. He's just like... and just unloading into Kaido's dragon form, and you get to see him getting pummeled. Kaido doesn't fight back. It's not like Kaido is trying to fight back at the same time. Luffy's just getting a bunch of hits off on him. Okay, he's expending as much energy as he can, because Luffy at least realizes he's underestimating Kaido's full potential and the whole indestructibility thing, but Luffy still understands, I'm not going into this half-hearted. I'm going into this as, hey, I'm just gonna decimate him with Elephant Gatling, okay? This move that obliterated this, well, it didn't completely obliterate, but he would have if it kept going, the Noah. And keep in mind, the Noah was this giant ship that was half the size of Fishman Island. Luffy would have kept doing that. He would have just wrecked it into freaking driftwood. So he's pounding him like that. Kaido falls backwards, slams onto the ground in Bakura District, and then he begins to turn back into a human. Now, upon doing this, by the way, also landing in the town, that also created a giant shockwave. So this is a really, a lot of people are not making it in this fight. A lot of buildings are collapsing. A lot of people are getting caught up in this, epic, large-scale duel right here. So, yeah, but anyway, he lands on the ground, and he just kind of turns back into a human, but he doesn't look injured. He's not bleeding. He doesn't look like anything's broken. He's just kind of lying prostrate on the ground, Kaido is, and he's just like, whatever. And then Luffy, just not missing a beat, just moving on right after another, after he slams Kaido Dragon into the ground and he turns back into a human, Luffy immediately goes into Gear 4th, Bound Man, and then some people are shouting over at Kaido like, Lord Kaido, he transformed again, be careful! And Kaido's just lying on the ground, just kind of looks up and he's like, what? And then Luffy just like, Kong Organ! And you know what? I originally thought at first, why not use one of your bigger techniques, Luffy? Why not use, like, King Kong Gun or King Cobra, like the big finishing moves we saw against Doflamingo or Katakuri? But then you gotta figure, I think Luffy is just trying to deal as much successive damage at once, rather than doing, a big finishing move. He's like, I'm just gonna keep pounding him as much as possible with some of my strongest moves. It has to do something. Has to do freaking something, right? So, and then Kong Organ is, of course, an attack that covers, it's more shots. It's like a rapid-fire machine gun version of Kong Gun. So he busts out Kong Organ and just slams right into Kaido. He hits him a lot of times with that one. I can't count how many times that happens right here. But there is an interesting scene, and we don't... this is more of just me taking it a particular way. I really would have liked it if Oda maybe included this in here. I think it's just because Luffy is just so, he's not even thinking at this point, you know? The only thing that's running through Luffy's mind is just attack, attack, attack. Don't give a moment to get back up. Don't give him a moment to do anything. All right, he took out Tama and Umamimi, and he's the one that's taken over this entire island, and he's our main threat. We need to take this dude out now. So just keep on bashing him until you can't move anymore, until you run out of hockey, Luffy. Just keep on doing it. But there's the scene where we see a close-up of the Kong organs connecting with Kaido's body. Like, we see him getting punched in the face, like, brrr, and then, brrr, and we see Luffy's face, and he's beginning to, like, wheeze and cough. He's like, because, you know, he's doing all this stuff at once. He's really burning through his hockey here, right? He's gonna run out pretty soon. So, I would also really like it if there was a moment where Luffy realized, like, holy crap, it feels like I'm punching like an indestructible wall or something right now. It's like I'm not even denting him. Now, Luffy doesn't say that or think that, but that would have been really cool if it was added in, like, just to really cement in, like, man, I'm hitting him with every single thing I got, and it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. It doesn't feel like I'm even getting close to denting this wall. Maybe he'll bring it up later. Oh, wait, that might be kind of hard considering after what happens at the end of the chapter, but maybe maybe in a parallel universe he'll bring it up. You know, like, oh, I tried to punch him, and it really did feel like I was punching an indestructible wall. I wasn't even getting close to, like, buckling it or breaking it or anything. Not even a crack, really.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? Just extra little note I wanted to add as I'm editing this video, something I didn't realize until just now. So Luffy is pounding away at Kaito using armament hockey like Elephant Gun, Elephant Gatling, Kong Organ. Kaito is not using hockey to defend himself. Yeah, I just realized that. Because remember when he fought Big Mom, he charged up Kong Gun, punched Big Mom. Big Mom had to retaliate by also charging up armament, and she kind of blocked the shot with her arm. Right? So that made sense. So maybe if Luffy would have connected with Kong Gun on Big Mom without hockey, it would have actually, like, hurt her. Maybe not very much, but it would at least have done something. So I'm looking at these scenes where Luffy is just pounding the shit out of Kaito. And you don't see armament hockey gathering around his skin or like where Luffy's punching him or anything. It's just his normal flesh that's just getting hit. So that's probably, I would say that's probably intentional, that Oda left it that way to show us, like, yeah, even without hockey, his skin is like an unbreakable wall. You're not getting through it. So just wanted to bring that up just as a little bit more of a caveat to the sheer terror that Kaito is.
So he just keeps slamming into Kaito as much as possible, and after all of this, Kaito, he kind of gets knocked down. He's just like, oh, after getting hit all these times, just from the momentum of them, you know? But once again, not bleeding, doesn't seem to be injured in any way. He instead just sighs. So that's your cue to get the hell out of Dodge, Luffy, okay? When you just broke out Elephant Gun, bam! Elephant Gatling, boom, 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 Kong Organ, boom, 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 boom. When you break out all of that, and the only response you get from your opponent is, it is time to cheese it the fuck out of there, okay? Because none of that did anything. All right, or next to nothing. Like, if we're gonna put Kaido's HP at 100, he's maybe at 99.99 right now, okay? It did a minuscule amount of damage, if anything. All right, so he gets back up. Now, Kaido's human form is based off of an Oni. Or like an ogre, okay? So he has like a club, a Konombo on him. He has like, I guess it was hidden behind him in that little, because Kaido has like that frilly, feathery black thing on his back. I don't know exactly what it's made out of, or furs or something. So he has that on his back. So I'm probably thinking he keeps it in there. So he takes out his club, his big spiked Konombo thing. And keep in mind, Kaido's huge. He's like the size of a giant. So this thing is also equally giant as well. And once again, Kaito, without missing a beat, he just kind of like takes a stare at Luffy, just like, all right, my turn. Boom! BAM! And just takes this club and just smacks Luffy right upside the freaking face. And it's called Divine Punishment, or in another translation I read, it was like, 8 trigrams thunderclap or something. I'm like, okay, so Kaido's part of the Hyuga clan now? Okay, whatever. I know it's a Buddhist reference, but it's like just divine thunder or divine thunderclap. That's all you need. He doesn't need to have a really long, complicated move. He doesn't have to be like, Fate of the Ogre King, Lord Strike Ultimate. He doesn't need to have anything like that. He just, like, Divine Thunder, boom, and just smacks him upside with the freaking Kanombo. And Luffy, he gets so hard he deflates like a balloon. All right, that doesn't happen very often. All right, Luffy, sometimes when he's fighting in Gear 4, he'll deflate because he's just out of his time limit, out of hockey or whatever. But this is a situation seriously like a punctured balloon, where he just gets hit by this thing and he's in Gear 4 and he's just. And he just lands on the ground, Gear 4 disengaged, and we see this image of Luffy, and it is heart-wrenching to look at. I'm serious. If you have small children in the room, you should probably leave, okay? Luffy is on the ground, bleeding profusely from the head, eyes completely whited, missing a tooth, and just knocked out. He's gone. He's freaking unconscious. He's just... One attack. One attack from Kaido, followed up after, like... At least, I don't know, 20, 30 hits from some of Luffy's strongest moves, all armament hockeyed up, max power. Luffy's not pulling any punches here. He's giving him everything he's got, and this is what we have. This is what we lead to. And Kaito just kind of after this, he's just like, so, what kind of king did you say you were gonna be? You brat, or he's like, you think you were gonna be king? Boy. Just calls him a child, calls him a brat. Kind of similar to what Doflamingo was going on about how Doflamingo was like, you're freaking children. I'm the adult. All right, I'm the adult. I'm stronger than all y'all. I've been through way more shit than all of you. Luffy's 19, Law's like in his 20s. Is like, okay, I don't have time for the squabblings of children. Kind of the same vibe with Kaito. Kaito is probably in his 60s, kind of roughly the same age as Big Mom. I'm going to assume around there somewhere. So from Kaito's perspective, this is really just a child's game for him. He's just like, you damn brat, you freaking upstarts. You think you could start shit? You're barely out of the cradle yet. I'm freaking Kaito. I'm not going to pull any of my punches with you. So, Luffy gets taken down. And that is the first time that has happened in this way, just so bluntly, just one-shotted. That's the first time that's happened since post-time skip. We've had now going on, when did the time skip occur? I think it was like August, September of 2010. The reason I can remember that so well is because that time skip was going on right as I was starting my senior year of high school, so I remember that. But yeah, that was about over 8 years now. 8 years after the time skip, and the Straw Hats came back from training for 2 years, and they were ready to go, and they're so much stronger, and, Luffy's had some tough fights since then, but he's never been just floored. It was going to take a while until we were going to get to this point. I knew, though, this was coming. I knew there was going to be a point where, even after all, we get the point where, like, it equals out the training, where it's like, it doesn't matter, the 2-year training, it doesn't matter. You're going to, at some point, Luffy's going to get one-shotted by somebody that's just so ungodly strong, and we're going to reach that point where it's like, okay, the training from the 2-year time skip, that's starting to be less important now. Like, we're reaching the equalization point where you're running into enemies that are, even stronger than you are, even with the training. Okay, that kind of level. Now, yeah, Luffy fighting Katakuri was a really tense fight, and Doflamingo as well, but none of those characters managed to just, one-shot Luffy and just brought him down like that, and he just couldn't get back up. Now, granted, we don't know what's going to happen with Luffy next chapter. Maybe he would get back up, but I don't think he is. I think he seriously, like, this is really reminding me of Magellan, except this is worse than Magellan in a sense, because at least with the fight with Magellan, Magellan at least took some hits from that, and he seemed like he was like, because Luffy, like, jet bazookaed Magellan, and it didn't look like it did a tremendous amount of damage, but it did seem like it hurt him a little bit, like, oh, and then the poison eventually just succumbed and he just got brought down. But even so, it took a little while. It wasn't like Magellan just just ran into Luffy and floored him in 0.2 seconds. That's what happened here. Okay, after, you know, Kaido was nice, and keep in mind, he's also drunk, so he's just like, you know, his reaction speed probably is lowered a little bit there. Took a few hits from Luffy, and then he's just like, okay, screw this, and just one swing, just home run, I win. Now, also keep in mind, when Kaido used that Divine Thunder attack, the sparks and, like, the black lightning shit was coming off of the club, so we can assume there's some Conqueror's Hockey at play there. I think it also happens with armament sometimes, too, with, like, when Luffy and Katakuri were clashing, you saw some of that coming off of them. So, it doesn't matter. I mean, Kaido has a ridiculous amount of Conqueror's Hockey, we could already expect that. He has a ridiculous amount of Armament Hockey, we could already expect that, too. I've read some theories, considering going off of the last arc where Luffy was learning all about observation from Katakuri. Maybe this is going to focus more on learning about the higher levels of armament. Possibly, sure. But Luffy he lost this fight. He lost it straight up. Like, there's no other way to look at this. Kaido is seriously 100% out of his league, okay? And I'm just going to come out and say it because I've been burned by this before. I've been burned by this with Bleach. Okay, remember, I know some of you might not have watched Bleach or whatever, but just to give you just a basic rundown of what the problem was, okay? In Bleach, the final villain was a guy named Yuha. He was basically God with a really big bushy mustache. Okay, anyway, he also had the power to change the future, which is broken on its own right, but that's not even what I'm talking about right now, okay? So there was a scene in the final arc where Ichigo, the main character of Bleach, faces off against Yuha, and he just gets his ass kicked. It's during the Soul Palace when they stop him the first time. He's like, he just gets his ass kicked. He can't do anything. He can't even touch him, okay? And then he falls down, and he climbs back up to Yuha's palace, and nothing changed. Nothing really changed since the last time they fought him, but now all of a sudden Ichigo's like, we can fight him. We can take him down. And he gets floored again, and then there's other bullcrap that happens, and then you know how Bleach ended there. But my point is, Luffy just got floored by Kaido. So if Luffy gets back up after this and thinks to himself, okay, let's go after Kaido again. Round 2, come on, right now. That was the stupidest thing in the world. And if he managed to actually hurt him the second, that would be the stupidest thing ever, okay? We all kind of came to the realization that Luffy cannot defeat Kaido on his own. I came to that realization a while back. I'm sure plenty of you did. Like, there's no way this arc is going to end with a one-on-one fight. Luffy takes down Kaido, okay? If Kaido is gonna get taken down, it's gonna have to be like the entirety of the Straw Hat crew, plus the Heart Pirates, plus all the samurai that are on your side, plus Kid and Killer and as many of the supernovas that you can get on your side, and possibly the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Like, if you got all of those people together and just tried to just jackhammer Kaido, from what we've seen about him, I don't even know if that'll be good enough, but that's like the bare minimum what you're gonna have to have, you know? Like, you're gonna have to have a lot of people going after him at once, all right? I really hope this doesn't just come down to a thing. And hey, it's not even a guarantee that Kaido's gonna get straight up just decimated and killed or, you know, anything at the end of this arc, okay? That's not even a guarantee that would happen. You know, I would assume that, well, the problem with that is, if Kaido doesn't get straight up defeated, that it might be kind of a repeat of Totland, where it's like Big Mom didn't get straight up decimated. They just managed to escape their territory, and Kaido does have to be taken out some way, because that's the whole point. They're trying to free Wano from his rule. So I guess by that logic, he's either going to have to get killed or knocked out and just, you know, thrown in the ocean or taken away from Wano. Like, something's going to have to happen at the end of Wano to get Kaido off the island and never come back. I mean, I don't know how the hell that's going to happen, but it's going to have to. But I really hope that final confrontation just isn't like Luffy walks into his throne room and he's like, you beat me last time 2 weeks ago, but even though nothing's changed since then, I got you now. Now, we could have a training arc, because there's 2 weeks until that raid on Onigashima. Now, what would Luffy learn in that 2 weeks? Well, that's going to be a crunch, okay, because that's not a lot of time, but it would be enough time for at least him to heal and for him to get, you know, maybe better armament or learn better about conquerors or find out Kaido's weakness if he has one or something. Okay, but this can't be a thing where Luffy just gets right back up and is like, all right, well, he beat the crap out of me, but I think I got this next time. Like, no, no, no. Even if it was like something like Luffy and Zoro walking in and like 2-on-1, that's still not enough. That's still not even close to being enough, okay? So yeah, that's what this chapter was about. This chapter was Oda showing us, okay, you want to see how strong Kaido is? Here he is, taking on the main character of the series. Let's see how far he gets. About that far. Sorry, Nami. Sorry, Nami. Oh my god. 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 I'm so sorry. Sorry. But about that far. Yeah, about that far. Whew. Okay. Well, this has been fun. I vote. You know what? I like Brooke, and Nami has. But I vote Frankie to be the new main character of One Piece. Frankie is my favorite Straw Hat. I think he can bring a very different kind of flavor to the whole thing. We could just name the series Super with like 7 exclamation points. So, yeah, I guess my question to you at the end of this review is, who do you want to be the new main character of One Piece, and what would you retitle the series now that Luffy is gone and his dream is obviously crushed along with it? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. Signing out, everybody. In the arms of an angel, fly away.